The next thing that I want to do is bring up a few of the people that have been involved in creating. We have copies of these in our table in the other room. We have been working on putting the stories we've been doing about especially gender-based violence into an 8-page document with discussion questions and action steps, and this is one of the things we want to take around the state. But I want to bring up some of the people that have been involved in the gender-based violence work their organizations have been doing it forever, but we've been working together over the past year, since last year's event, to figure out how to make a bigger dent. So Patricia from Global Rights for Women, Nikki from, and Nikki, is Maggie here? No? Okay. Nikki from Violence Free Minnesota, Pahua from Mincasa, Rosario from Esperanza United, and then we've had a couple other people that have been working with us, including Erica at John Choi's office at Ramsey County. And I'm going to have those that want to say a few things about what they wish Minnesota was doing differently around gender-based violence. And again, there's a lot packed into these 8 pages.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here today. I'm Patricia Cumby. I'm the communications manager for Global Rights for Women. And mostly as I stand here at this podium, I just want to express gratitude to you all for being here, for your passion and commitment to ending gender-based violence, and also to the Minnesota Women's Press, which has just been an incredible partner for Global Rights for Women, as well as so many other advocacy organizations in this state. And I can't think of another news organization that's really putting their heart and soul into having groundbreaking and state-changing, world-changing conversations. So thank you all so much for being a part of this and expanding the movement to end gender-based violence. Global Rights for Women is headquartered here in Minneapolis, and we work at the invitation of partners from around the world. And next year we'll be celebrating our 10th year. We have done 48 on-the-ground projects in 30 countries, including the United States, focused on legal and systems change work to address the needs of survivors. Last year we released a report that we had spent 2 years researching the Minneapolis Police Department's response to domestic violence. As you can imagine, we identified a number of gaps in terms of how survivors are treated when they reach out for help. You know, every day we learn so many devastating things, and there's a lot to do in terms of addressing systems change, but we carry out our work with a lot of hope because of people like you. And it's been a real honor to be part of putting this guide together. I really hope that you take the time to look at it and ask yourselves the questions and do some of the things that we need to do to improve the response to survivors when they reach out for help. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me here. So Mincasa is a statewide coalition that supports over 50 member programs who are doing the direct service to sexual violence advocacy all across the state. And so I'm happy to be here to kind of share a little bit more about gender-based violence and the different things that are going on here. But like Mickey has said, you know, this guide it's a start of what we want to do to kind of change the culture around gender-based violence. So people abuse because they can, and that's not because it's the victim's fault. It's not because the victim should have known better. It's not because they didn't try hard enough to stop it. It's not because she was asking for it. If our initial thoughts are to question why the victim didn't do X, Y, Z, we are engaging in deep-rooted victim-blaming behavior, even if well-intentioned. We need to look at what caused this person to do the harm. This violence is deeply rooted in oppression, power, control, sexism, racism, white supremacy, ableism, ageism, and a lot of unhealed trauma. And everyone, victims, families, friends, communities, and people who have done harm, all deserve healing. When we approach this issue using a public health perspective, we recognize the social determinants of health, which includes all the things in our environment, our social and political infrastructure, our education systems, healthcare systems, financial systems, criminal justice systems. All of these things play a greater role in our health than our individual behaviors do. That is why we need to invest in community resources. In no other public safety responses do we expect volunteers to be answering 911 calls. Why do we expect volunteers to be answering crisis calls? Why do we expect volunteer advocates to show up in the hospital in the middle of the night for a sexual assault exam to support the victim survivor? Why do we say this work is important for public safety and then expect our nonprofits to go fundraise for themselves, apply for multiple grants, and be told these grants are going away, which is happening right now? We are seeing programs that are being closed or having to cut and reduce their services. We need a culture change to acknowledge that this is preventable, that this work matters. This is just really the beginning of it, and hoping to spark different conversations, because this work has been around for a long time, way before my time, and what I don't want to see is that, like other people have said, 25 years from now, are we still going to be in the same place? So these conversations start with us, with the people in this room, for us to have this conversation within our communities, within our families, within our peers and other people, and to really shift the culture and shift it away from these individual issues to really acknowledge the impact and the responsibility of community members.
My name is Nikki Engel. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and like Mickey said, I work for Violence Free Minnesota. We're the sibling coalition to Minnesota that Pahua just spoke from. So we represent about 90 member programs in the state of Minnesota, all of the community-based advocacy programs that serve victim survivors of domestic and sexual violence. So I'm here kind of representing them in Guadalupe's stead. I just want to say a couple of things. One is that one of the things we do at Violence Free Minnesota and have been doing for 35, I believe this is our 35th year, tracking intimate partner violence homicides in the state. And so one of the things that you will see if you look through this is Minnesota Women's Press did a long excerpt from a press release that we did after the Burnsville shootings, the shootings of the 3 first responders. I live in Richfield, Minnesota, so pretty close to Burnsville, and so, just going about my day, I kind of witnessed the way, the response, the public social response to the homicides. And at the coalition, we felt, we were frustrated. We were frustrated is the best maybe word to use. We didn't begrudge the public outcry, the public mourning of those 3 first responders. No one should be lost that way, right? But our question was, why is this not the response to the homicide victims, right? There was a period, last year was the highest number of intimate partner homicides since we've begun tracking. 39, we're at 39 for last year. Sometimes we don't find out information that someone else should be included in our count until later on, so that's why I say we're at 39 for last year right now. Highest year we've ever tracked. There was a period of 2 weeks last summer where we lost, I believe, 8 or 9 people in 2 weeks, right? And there's just no public outcry akin to what those 3 first responders received. So again, I hope that you read that statement. I'm seeing a lot of nodding. We don't not want that response for folks who are killed as they're doing their job. No one should ever be killed doing their job, right? But at the same time, the victims are also as innocent as folks who went to work that day and didn't come home, right? And so it's part of the kind of social change, right, that needs to happen. And so as we were working with the Minnesota Women's Press and Mickey on this guide, something we kept coming back to was, yeah, there are lots of conversations we need to have with folks in our systems, and we do that work every day. Advocates do that work every day, talking to folks in the system about what needs to change, right? But also, what are the conversations we need to be having around our kitchen tables? And the other thing I just want to say is that for the past few years, Violence Free Minnesota has really been arguing that survivors deserve more options. The options we give survivors right now are the criminal justice system, right? Call 911, right? Go this route, and we have advocates that are well skilled in helping survivors try to navigate that system, right? Or it's reach out to victim services, right? And jump through this hoop, do this, go to the county for this, right? Try to get your needs met in all these different ways. But that's kind of it, right? Those are the only options we give survivors. And we know so many survivors who went through a criminal process and at the other end of it find themselves no safer, still don't feel like they got justice, and don't feel healed, right? On that end of it. And folks who choose not to, then there's nothing, right? There's really nothing available for them. So we've been talking about that survivors deserve more options than what we currently have invested in as a society. And so that's why we support restorative justice, transformative justice, other alternative approaches to addressing these kinds of violences in our communities that I know we'll hear more about this afternoon. And so very excited to be a part of those conversations as well.
I think it was Guadalupe last year on stage here said that, there's the peer-to-peer advising that can happen is incredibly valuable when survivors can talk to other survivors, but they can get more money at working at Kmart, and so they don't really stay in the role that long, and that's one of the things that also we would love to see the advocates be able to change. Rosario is somebody we've also connected with a few times over the years, Esperanza United. Last year they were on the cover. We had a guy on the cover with two of the other people at Esperanza United. So Rosario.
Esperanza United has been doing this work for over 40 years. We have been working a lot in intervention, and that's the few options that survivors have, right? Call the police, go to a shelter. Lucky enough, for the last 16 years, we've been receiving assistance for transitional housing, but that's not it. Our community survivors, women and children need much more than that. Any survivors, I'm not saying women. Back in the day when I started, 20 some years ago, it was women and children. Like I said, I started at Esperanza 23 years ago. But in the last 10 years, we have been doing a lot of the prevention work. And we're going to continue doing intervention work. That is very important. The shelter needs to be open. Housing options have to be available. All the things that we incorporate, whether we like it or not, we have to continue doing. But in the last year, and I'm going to say that because former Senator Patricia Torres is here, that this year, my newest experience was working with the legislators. Yesterday, around 3 o'clock, the Senate approved our bill to really move forward. We just need to find the money. So now I have to put pressure and say, okay, we pass it now, where is the money? And the bill, what is exciting is that I started an intervention, and I think I will continue to do that. But I also know that prevention is so important. We have to really change the narrative. We have to get our community involved. We have to find, we need the community to really be part of the change and help us to not be Esperanza United, not be, Mencasa and all these community organizations who do the work. But we need to start creating prevention approaches, and I don't say programs, I said approaches that really help us to raise our children, our society, our families to have conversations. And intervention work is important. but prevention work is very important. Last year was very difficult. We have 39 people who lost their lives. 2 were very close to me. One was a community member who her mom was very active. And that really moved us at Esperanza United in our community. But the other one was because he was there to defend his sister. And I think I remember getting all the emails from Joe. And it just never stopped. Never stopped. I will be called, emails like 3 emails in a week probably with new people who lost their lives. I just want to invite you to be part of this movement. We can do a lot of things. We can be involved, and we can really make changes.
This discussion guide is available for everybody to take, and our hope is to have coordinators in different cities around the state that will help us have conversations in their communities. I welcome to hear from anybody. You can write me at editor@womenspress.com, and we'll get that organized. One of the things that's also in this is related to the Survivors Justice Act and the fact that it would be good to have trauma-informed sentencing for people who have suffered from gender-based violence, sexual assault, and other things that affect them. And to kind of show the impact of some of that, Danelle's team is here. They're going to do a little reading from her play Secrets. The cast is going to perform from the play, which is about trauma that impacts a majority of women who have been imprisoned instead of healed at Shakopee. We're taping it today so that they can share it for future appearances that they would like to do. And again, anybody in this room that wants to help facilitate some of that, they're actively looking for sponsors and donations to help them do a lot more with it.